Have you ever watched a raccoon pick up a piece of food, carry it to a puddle or a shallow dish of water, and carefully dip it before eating? If you have, chances are you paused for a moment and wondered what on earth it was doing. Was it cleaning its food like a tiny furry chef preparing a meal? Was it being extra careful? Or was there something deeper happening that most of us never notice? That simple little moment has fascinated people for generations. It looks so deliberate, so human, that it feels impossible not to attach a reason to it, and yet the real answer is even more interesting than most people imagine. A few years ago, I watched a raccoon do exactly this. It had discovered a piece of food near the edge of a creek. Instead of eating it immediately, it carried the food to the water, dipped it several times, turned it over in its paws, and then finally began to eat. It looked less like feeding and more like examining, almost as if the animal was gathering information before making a decision. Scientists have spent decades studying this behavior, and what they discovered reveals something remarkable about how raccoons experience the world. To understand why a raccoon appears to wash its food, we first have to understand what kind of animal a raccoon really is. Most people think of raccoons as clever scavengers. They raid bird feeders, investigate trash cans, and seem able to solve problems that frustrate other animals. All of that is true. But beneath those familiar behaviors lies something even more important. Raccoons are touch specialists. Their front paws are among the most sensitive in the animal kingdom. In fact, a large portion of a raccoon's brain is devoted to processing information from its paws. The nerves in those paws allow the animal to detect incredibly fine details about texture, shape, and movement. Imagine reaching into a dark drawer and instantly recognizing a key, a coin, or a pen without ever seeing it. Now imagine being far better at that than any human could ever be. That begins to give you an idea of what a raccoon's paws can do. This sensitivity becomes especially useful because raccoons often search for food in places where visibility is poor. In streams, ponds, wetlands, and muddy shorelines, they frequently hunt at night. Their eyes help, but touch becomes just as important. When a raccoon reaches into shallow water, it can feel crayfish hiding beneath rocks, insects clinging to submerged plants, or small aquatic creatures moving through the mud. The paws become a kind of sensory tool, helping the animal build a picture of the world. This is where the famous washing behavior enters the story. For many years, people assumed raccoons were cleaning dirt from their food before eating it. The behavior certainly looks that way, but controlled observations revealed something surprising. Raccoons often perform the same dipping and rubbing motions even when the food is already clean. If cleanliness were the goal, there would be little reason to repeat the behavior with spotless food. Yet they do it anyway. Researchers began to suspect that something else was happening. One of the leading explanations is that water increases the sensitivity of the raccoon's paws. When the paws are wet, the animal may be able to gather more detailed sensory information about whatever it is holding. In other words, what looks like washing may actually be a form of investigation. The raccoon is not necessarily cleaning its meal, it is learning about it. You can picture this in your own neighborhood. Imagine a raccoon discovering an unfamiliar object near a garden. Before deciding whether it is edible, dangerous, or irrelevant, the animal manipulates it repeatedly. It turns it over, presses it between its paws, and sometimes carries it to water. What appears to be fussiness may actually be information gathering, and information is valuable when you are an animal that survives by being adaptable. Raccoons live in forests, wetlands, farms, suburbs, and cities. They encounter an astonishing variety of foods: fruits, nuts, insects, eggs, fish, frogs, crayfish, pet food, discarded leftovers, and countless other possibilities can appear in a single environment. Because their menu is so diverse, raccoons benefit from examining unfamiliar items carefully. Their curiosity is not a personality quirk, it is a survival strategy. That curiosity is one reason raccoons have become so successful across North America and beyond. While some animals rely on highly specialized diets, raccoons remain flexible. They explore, they test, they learn. Anyone who has watched a raccoon navigate a backyard has probably seen evidence of this. A flower pot gets inspected, a fallen branch gets investigated. A new bird feeder becomes the focus of intense interest. The animal seems driven by a constant desire to understand its surroundings. And perhaps that is why the food washing behavior captures our attention so strongly. When we see a raccoon dipping food into water, we are witnessing more than a feeding habit. We are seeing a mind at work. Not a human mind, of course, but a different kind of intelligence shaped by millions of years of evolution. There is another layer to the story that makes it even more fascinating. In the wild, raccoons often forage near water naturally. Streams and shorelines provide abundant food sources because so much of their feeding activity evolved around aquatic environments. Handling objects near water may simply feel normal to them. Even when food is found elsewhere, the instinctive behaviors associated with foraging can still appear. That means the raccoon standing beside a birdbath in a suburban yard may be expressing behaviors that originated long before neighborhoods existed. A tiny scene in your backyard can contain echoes of ancient wetlands and moonlit riverbanks. The more scientists learn about animal behavior, the more often they discover that simple actions are not always simple. A bird song can contain layers of communication. A squirrel's tail flick can carry warnings. A raccoon's wet paws can reveal an entire sensory world hidden from human experience. And that hidden world is all around us. If you enjoy discovering these overlooked stories from nature, consider subscribing to Global Wild Origins. Every week we explore the surprising lives of animals that share our world, often right outside our windows. What I love most about the raccoon's washing behavior is that it reminds us how easy it is to misread the natural world. We see an action and assume we understand it. Then science gently pulls back the curtain and reveals something far richer than our first impression. The raccoon was never simply washing dinner. It was interacting with its environment through one of the most remarkable sensory systems in the mammal world. It was gathering clues, interpreting textures, and making decisions in ways we rarely stop to imagine. The next time you see a raccoon carrying food toward water, you may find yourself watching differently. Instead of seeing a quirky habit, you might see an animal exploring its surroundings with extraordinary precision. You might see curiosity in action. And perhaps that changes something about the way we view the creatures around us, because every yard, every creek, and every quiet evening contains lives unfolding according to rules and senses very different from our own. Most of the time, those stories pass unnoticed. But sometimes a raccoon pauses beside a puddle, dips its food into the water, and offers us a brief glimpse into a hidden world, a world that was there all along, waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer.